But how is it fair that people are being judged for not understanding when they have been created in a manner that would not allow them to understand?
Hey, I hope you find this response to be kind and respectful to you, but this is part 2 of my response to this video. Check out this video if you want to see my first. But I think that the Bible and Christian theology would claim that God can be understood in some sense, so your question doesn't really make sense because we don't accept the premise.
You're being punished for things that are totally out of your control. You're being punished for a lack of faith that you couldn't make up for on your own.
So certain branches of Christianity might understand this differently, but in my understanding, we choose to trust in God. And as a result, it is on us to trust in God. And once that trust is given, then God accepts us, we become forgiven and transformed and become Christians. So under that dynamic, you wouldn't be punished for a lack of faith that you couldn't make up for on your own.
You're being punished for a sin nature that you were born with.
I would say that you are punished for the sins that you commit if you are not forgiven, yes, but you are responsible for your free will, rational decisions. And as a result of that, being born with a sin nature does not free you from the guilt of your sins. If you are a free will, rational creature, then the responsibility is on you to do what is right, even sometimes in spite of yourself.
You're being punished for having a mind that comes to rational conclusions as it has evolved to do, but being unable to believe in a God who has refused to provide sufficient scientific or rational evidence for their existence.
So there is definitely a lot here that we could talk about, but I would say that God is not punishing us for coming to rational conclusions. And even if you wanted to grant the idea that there is not a sufficient amount of evidence in this life to come to the conclusion that God does exist and that it is the Christian God, which I would contend, I would say that according to our theology, everyone is going to know that God exists and that Jesus Christ is Lord. In fact, this is what we are specifically told in Ephesians chapter 2. Once that day in Philippians chapter 2 as described occurs, the rational decision would be to trust God and believe in Him. The irrational decision would be to reject Him. At that point, you would be rewarded for the rational decision and punished for the irrational decision.
Deconstruction can be a really uncomfortable place to exist in for a while, but over time it does get better. And reminding yourselves of truths like these is one of the most important steps.
So I will actually agree with this creator that I do think some people need to deconstruct and that it is important to do. What I will disagree is that the truths presented in this video about Christianity aren't actually true. At least not with a Christianity that has a balanced view of the scriptures. If you enjoyed this video, then check out my other apologetics videos and let me know what you think about knowledge and Christianity.